Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about a YouTuber named Max Gilardi, also known as Max G and Hotdiggetydemon. Max Gilardi was born on January 28th, 1988, and he's currently 33 years old. He was born in Massachusetts. He attended the Art Institute of Boston, and then ended up dropping out. So for those of you who have heard of Max G or Hotdiggetydemon, I have no idea what you could possibly think of him because there are quite mixed opinions on this creator and his creations. You may be in the camp of people who think he's racist and dislike him and think he's a very problematic animator. You may be somebody who's a huge fan of him, has no problem with his edgy, raunchy humor, and you may be somewhere in the middle. So today, wherever you are on the spectrum of liking or disliking Max G, we're going to dive into his content and see if we can better understand where he's coming from and why he makes the content that he does. Some of the series that Max G was known for in the early internet was when he first posted in 2007 a series called Jerry, which I didn't really look into at all, but from what I understand, it's just about a character who's basically miserable. In 2010, he made wacky game jokes for kids. Once again, don't know really the content of this show was, but he references it on his website, hotdiggetydemon.com, which is actually just a Tumblr link, which details frequently asked questions. Max G is originally known for his animations called Pony.mov, which was a series of about 6 or 7 animated videos that he made that feature the characters from My Little Pony. And the humor in it is very violent, raunchy, adult-like in nature. This came up around the time of the height of the Brony fandom, if any of you guys remember that. Max G was sort of a mini-celeb within the community, it seems. He would show up at cons and talk at panels and things like that, so he was quite well known and beloved, at least within the adult male demographic of the Brony fandom. I watched them all for the first time while researching this video, and
come over, they look at my posters, I pretend to whip them, it's a silly pretend game. Like a family tradition. Except they're not allowed to leave.
That doesn't exactly seem ethical, Rarity.
Oh, please. Everybody knows Mexicans aren't real people.
Yo, I'm bored. You wanna go hang out with Fluttershy?
Okay.
Take that. Yeah, welcome to Ponyville. Bada boom.
Good one, guys. You really got me. Stay out of my shed, okay?
Pinky's experimentation with cocaine also took its toll.
they're definitely not for me, but I definitely knew some people in high school who were bronies that definitely probably watched this stuff. While watching Pony.mov, you get this really good sense of what Max G's content is about. There's no boundaries, no restrictions in what he's willing to say, what he's willing to make jokes about. His art style is very reminiscent of early 90s to 2000s art styles like Ren and Stimpy, Rocko's Modern Life, and a little bit of, I think, anime influence in there as well, especially from the 80s, like Dragon Ball Z-esque stuff. Max also showed that he enjoys doing satire and shock humor, while also slipping in there a slight narrative and pulling it all together. Then on September 2nd, 2016, he posted his very first brain dump. In this, he talks about his opinions on Disney's Zootopia and starts a very slight preview of the type of format that he was kind of doing at the time, where he would review and talk about movies. During his review of Suicide Squad, we're introduced to his co-host, Goofball, the goofy cartoon ghost.
Whoa, hey everybody, look out, it's me, Goofball, the goofy ghost, here to get goofy and be goofy. That's me, that's my job, all day, every day, it's what I do. So I hope you're ready for the goofy, folks, because here I am, Goofball. Oh boy, am I gonna get goofy.
And really, when it comes to a cast of Brain Dump, it's mainly just Max, Goofball, and Max's TV, Burnbot. And these are kind of the reoccurring characters that we see throughout these commentary videos. He started out talking about films, but as you get more and more into Brain Dump, they start to become more of skits. He may deviate from just talking about film. And once again, we see that trend where he starts to kind of slip a narrative into these skits. A very common topic within all of Max G's videos is his mental health. He starts having dark jokes directed towards himself, making criticisms of himself, being very upfront that he struggles with depression and anxiety and low self-esteem. The first episode in which we get to see this topic talked about, his review of the movie Creep.
Nothing could possibly interrupt me.
Creep, huh? What is it, a movie about you?
No, it's not a movie about me, and I'm not a creep.
Are you kidding? You're the creepiest person I know, and I'm a fucking ghost.
I'm not creepy. Now can you please get your glowing see-through ass off my show?
Well, if you're not creepy, then how come you don't have a girlfriend?
Well, it can be hard to meet someone who understands my personality is very...
Creepy? Pretentious? Insufferable?
Not the words I would use. She's a loop, Burnbot. Whose side are you on?
In the episode called Why Women Shouldn't Be Ghostbusters, Max G says this.
Now here's a word you see thrown around a lot these days. But why? Well, because for some mysterious reason that we still don't understand, all humans are born with a visceral, internal sense of justice. Well, I hate to break it to you kids, but there's no such thing as justice. The world's not fair and it's not supposed to be. Now suck it up and get to work for the rest of your life. I mean, look at me. I'm an able-bodied, straight white man, and I'm still miserable. I'm bald, I'm fat, every girl on the face of the earth thinks I'm a creep, I have every mental illness in the book, I have to sit in front of a computer all day, I don't have any money, and not a day has gone by in the past 10 years where I haven't thought about death. Where's my justice? Oh yeah, that's right. I didn't ask for any. Because justice makes you weak. I say make your own justice or die trying. And if I do die trying, then I'm taking all you fuckers with me.
And if we pause this frame and we take a look at it, we see that he's listed loneliness, anxiety, depression, fear, more anxiety, possible OCD, socially inept beyond all salvation as some of his mental health issues, but he also lists a bunch of phobias. So let's see what those phobias are. Defining these, and I'm gonna mess up the pronunciation of some of these phobias. Y'all know I ain't good at pronouncing things, but here we go. Ensiophobia is irrational fear of criticism or committing a sin. Geroscophobia is the fear of growing or aging. Aciotrophobia is a rare phobia that causes sufferers to be irrationally fearful of mirrors or seeing themselves in a mirror. Maniophobia is the fear of being insane. Tocophobia is defined as a severe fear of pregnancy or childbirth. Vihophobia is the fear of driving. Esolophobia is the fear of being isolated, lonely, or alone. And anthropophoria is the fear of people. He lists two phobias that he has that I can't read them because they're hidden behind his character, so I don't know what they are. But basically, we're getting a pretty good insight into how Max views himself and the world. He's afraid of criticism, which is going to be ironic as we keep going on into this video. In the episode where he talks about Moana, he spends the whole episode in an anxiety state. So he films the whole episode on the floor.
Where's the creep? Oh, why are you on the floor?
I'm having an anxiety day.
Which, totally relatable. I've not been doing great recently. Really struggling at my job. Maybe I should do the rest of this on the floor in homage to Max G. In one of Max's more recent videos, he basically uses Goofball, which it isn't just exclusively in this video, but really specifically in this video. Max uses Goofball as a mouthpiece to list off all the things that he dislikes about himself.
The reason women have never liked me is because I always believed that women don't like me.
No. You see, the reason women don't like you is because you're obese, you're bald, you're funny looking, you have no... And worst of all, you have very, very low self-esteem.
Oh gee, I wonder what could possibly be contributing to that.
And really, this whole episode is kind of just a therapy session with Max G, if I'm being completely honest. For once, we get a really deep look into his very relatable and understandable fears that I think a lot of people our age, especially millennials, experience a lot.
Now tell me all about your asinine, irrelevant white people problems and why they make you such a depressing sad sack.
Why shouldn't I be depressing? I've earned the right. Nobody cares about me. They say they do, sometimes, but they never act like it. Empty platitudes, that's all it's ever been. All I ever hear is, you gotta care about this, you gotta care about that. You're a bad person if you don't care about this. Only a horrible person wouldn't care about that. But who cares about M-A-X? That's a nobody. Huh. I don't understand why my plight doesn't count. And I'm not interested in being told I don't have a plight anymore. Because of course I do. I never experienced the slightest modicum of reprieve from my physical or emotional pain. I've never experienced any practical success from my creative pursuits. And I'm starting to realize that I probably never will. And all my life, people have been telling me I'm ugly. And when you hear something enough times, eventually you start to believe it. For whatever reason, I still don't think of myself as an adult, but I've been one for a long time now. And I've fallen into a lifestyle that would perhaps be better befitting of a pet hamster. I get up periodically to fatigue myself in my little wheel until I grow weary and retire back to my bed of shredded newspaper, where I smoke weed, masturbate, and play video games. 3 pastimes I grew bored of a long time ago. It's not the way a man was supposed to live. A real man with boiling red-hot blood and sweat and muscles and bones and hair and flesh and a brain and a spirit. A real man would have breath in his lungs and grit in his veins. He wouldn't allow himself to be subjugated like this. Is this really how the Max Gilardi story ends? All these years, I feel like I've been waiting for it to get started. But not only did it start without me knowing, but it's already over. There's no light at the end of this tunnel. And I don't even have anything to show for everything I've done so far. I have no health, no wealth, and no relationships. I gave those things up so I could pursue a life as an artist. And I'm not even a real artist. I'm a cartoon clown, whiling away his precious hours, making a YouTube show that nobody watches. A single, miserable, screaming idiot, floating amongst a sea of other miserable, screaming idiots, shrieking with hoarse lungs into the infinite blackness of an apathetic universe. Until eventually, that voice is silenced forever. And it's like it was never even there. And the dark is all that's left. Oh.
I'm realizing my life is over and I'll never be happy again. Can you please treat the situation with a little more reverence?
Y'all thought I was playing when I said I was going to do the rest of the episode on the floor. Sometimes I have anxiety days too, okay? So here we are. Okay, so what's so controversial about Max G? Like I mentioned, Max is known for a very edgy sense of humor. And this has given him a reputation for being racist, sexist, basically everything under the sun that you can think of. And I can totally see how he offends some people with his artwork that he posts on Twitter and the things that he jokes about. Something that I've talked about a lot on this channel, I tend to like creators or shows that tend to be considered controversial in some circles, and every time I can understand why. I think something that's important to take into consideration when we are looking at satire is 1, who is the butt of the joke? 2, what is the commentary that the person is making through satire? If you are offended by somebody's jokes, that is totally valid, and you are allowed to feel offended. And I can see why lots of people find Max G problematic. However, I'm going to make a case for him because I'm a fan of Max G's content. Max makes it very clear that he cares about important issues. He makes it very clear that he feels estranged from a lot of them because he is straight, white, and cisgender male. And for this, he gets, I think, a lot of backlash, especially when he has hot takes on things. Not only that, but he looks like the embodiment of a skinhead. But I think, and maybe I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, but when I look at Max G making jokes about dark, depressing shit, what I see is an artist who is making light of plights and situations that otherwise depress him because they make him so upset. Not somebody who is trying to make light of a situation because he thinks it's invalid, but because he cares so much that he needs to make jokes out of it. I'll admit, there are some jokes that Max G makes that they just cross certain lines for me as well, personally. I just can't laugh at them, and I just can't think they're funny. But with that being said, I usually have to look at, once again, who's the butt of the joke? Why is he making this joke? What message is he trying to deliver? Do I agree with all of Max G's takes? No. The first video I ever saw by Max was his video about why he feels taking Apu out of The Simpsons is not a good idea. And back then, I remember feeling like he was very ignorant on racial issues. And I rewatched it while I was researching this video. And honestly, I feel like overall he has a good take. Some of his supporting evidence, kind of dated now, don't agree with. But the overall, I think, the overall claim that he makes, honestly, is worth considering. I think he's a very intelligent person who suffers from a lot of mental illness. He's certainly extremely creative. Yeah, brain dump, all of his videos, Max G animates, voices, and writes all of his videos. He's an awesome voice actor. He's an awesome animator, an awesome artist. He's a good writer. He's funny. Like, the guy's good at everything. He's also good at singing. He sings in some of his episodes, too. Like, what is Max G not good at? At least one of the things that he admits in that episode, the therapy episode that I mentioned, he can admit about himself that he's good at drawing. Thank goodness, because it's very true.
I wasn't wired for this type of introspection. I'm dissociating! I'm experiencing a lack of continuity between thoughts, memories, surroundings, actions, and identity!
Ew, gross.
You have to validate me, goofball.
I have to what?
Validation. To reform my shattered cognizance.
Validate you how?
It doesn't matter how, any way will work.
And it has to be me?
Please, goofball, you're the only one!
Normally I have a rule against blowing smoke up people's asses, but before, when I was listing your unattractive attributes, and I said you're not good at anything, well, that one isn't exactly true. There are things that you're good at, like drawing cartoons. You are very good at drawing cartoons. It's not a practical skill, but it's a skill.
Goofball, are you saying I'm a good artist?
I guess so.
Oh, I think I get it. I'm unhappy in life because I feel as if my existence lacks meaning or purpose. But instead of taking on the discipline responsibility that would be necessary for a sense of purpose, I lust after things I'll likely never have, as a way of circumventing any kind of genuine self-improvement or emotional growth.
Hey, remember when this show used to be about movies?
You know, obviously, I don't know Max G in real life. But one of the things that he talks about a lot is about how no girls want to talk to him and he's not romantically attractive and all this. It's just hard to imagine from a fan perspective. Well, maybe not for some people who find him very offensive, but for me, who enjoys his content. Because, for one, when you see pictures of him, he's way more conventionally attractive than he says that he is. 2, he's obviously super creative. And number 3, at the heart of his content is empathy. He doesn't feel like he's a good guy, and, you know, maybe on a daily basis he's an irritable person who says things that he regrets. I could see that. But I think overall he's a person who is very thoughtful towards the people that he cares about. At least it shows in his content, I think. Do I think all of Max G's takes are correct? No, like I said. Do I think he's an artist worth looking at? Absolutely. If satire, once again, if satire is your thing, if you can stomach raunchy humor and offensive comedy, Max G is amazing. I've never found content like Max G at all. And he's super funny, and his animation's super cool to watch. If satire's not your thing, don't watch him. But I think he's an artist worth paying attention to, because he has a voice for straight white men who have mental illness, especially, who are lonely. And I think overall, just the millennial experience in general, through his character of Goofball, he's able to voice his insecurities, which I think a lot of viewers can relate to. And yes, with Goofball, he's able to process these feelings of inadequacy in a comedic light. But I think deep down, like, they're seriously thoughts that he has about himself. So I know defending Max G is going to get me in trouble with a lot of people, and honestly, I totally get that. But I think he's an artist worth defending and giving a chance, so long as you enjoy raunchy humor. The allegations about him being racist. Yes, some of the art that he does, I would agree, is not racially sensitive at all, and makes me uncomfortable. And not in the Boondocks kind of way. But once again, I think Max is not trying to offend, though he knows that that's going to happen. It may just be his way of making light of racial issues. Not that I think it's justified, but I think maybe that's what he's doing. And a lot of people took issue with his NSFW characters that were was a Trump supporter and a BLM supporter. And I think this was his way of trying to offer, like, a middle ground, or showing that, like, everyone can love each other no matter what part of the political spectrum they're on. Unfortunately, because Max G is straight and white and male, he's not really a part of oppressed populations, and so it's easy for him to say, you know, that people should get along. I think the sentiment is wholesome, just a little ignorant, but what can you do? Is it our job as his fans to educate him on issues like race and sexuality? I think Max G is a person who is willing to learn and listen. So if you have the emotional energy for it and the patience for it, sure, some people maybe find that problematic because he is in a position of influence in a sense, because he has a platform. And I get that take too. I guess sometimes when I am an audience member, I don't necessarily feel like I'm in a place of influence, but rather observation. And I'm willing to enjoy someone's content while not entirely agreeing with them, so long as I feel that their content is bringing meaningful, valid conversation to the table. And I think Max G qualifies for this. I actually have a story about Max G with myself. Back when I had a Twitter in college, Max G posted a video of him interacting with his cat. And I told him that he sounded gay. And he asked me how he sounded gay. And I freaked out because I had never had a YouTuber or anything interact with any of my comments before. And I immediately just started apologizing and saying all these things like, just because you sound effeminate doesn't necessarily mean you're gay, blah, 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 blah. I just, started freaking out. And he just tweeted back, bigotry alert! And, when I say that tweet destroyed me at the time, now I think it was hilarious, but back then I stopped using Twitter because of that comment. Because I was so embarrassed that he had misunderstood. I was actually more embarrassed about the people who saw the tweet, but I digress. So with that being said, have you ever heard of Max G? If you haven't, is he somebody that you'd be willing to look into? If so, why? And if not, why? I'd like to know. I want to hear perspectives about his content from other people. I know lots of people take problem with him, and once again, I completely understand that. And I'd like to hear more criticism, to be honest. So with that being said, I'm going to sign off today and say thank you for watching.